I was very protected as a child. My father passed away before I was born, so all the women in the house used to mollycoddle me a lot. And also a little complex, people always feeling sorry for you, people always saying, you're bichara and you're being pathetic about, oh, poor kid. I had speech defects, so I used to always be a little shy to speak in public. I used to stammer a lot. At the wafer shop, it was a tiny little shop with a big frying pan room, a room that had a big, huge frying pan in it.
Right.
It was hot, and I saw my mother working there as a widow. Sweat used to roll down her neck, and her blouse always had sweat on it. She used to sit on the galla, and we love other actors. That's important.
Yes.
If you don't love the other actor, you're going to be miserable on the set. I say, why am I supposed to be insecure when I reached a stage in my life where I always wanted to be? Now I am where I want to be, and I'm going to make myself miserable?
Hi, welcome to Tell Me All. I'm Swati Chopra, and today we are joined by someone who started his career in his 40s, and today he's taken the helm as a director. So, before we talk so much more about your journey, your childhood, or then also your life in the industry, what is the one thing that comes to your mind when I say the word childhood? What are the memories that kind of flash back?
Nervous.
Why, sir?
I don't know, maybe because I was very protected as a child. My father passed away before I was born, so all the women in the house used to mollycoddle me a lot. My mum and my sisters and their friends and my aunties. And it was all about not understanding what a male is all about. So when I saw a male for the first time, as a growing little toddler, I said, what the hell is that? It's different from what I've been seeing. And also a little complex, people always feeling sorry for you, people always saying, you're bichara and you're being pathetic about, oh, poor kid. Why? I never understood it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I had speech defects, so I used to always be a little shy to speak in public. I used to stammer a lot, and I lived in fear for some reason, and I cannot explain why. What worked for me eventually is the fact that my mother encouraged me to go on stage. She sent me for music to a music teacher. The movies. And she loved the movies. My dad loved the movies. She used to make a list of all the films that my father loved. This was the film we saw for the first time when we were together. This was the last film we saw together, and she used to make a list and said, whenever they come to this theatre in the morning show, there used to be what used to be called a matinee show. She would send me, and literally that would be my homework with my mother. She would ask me questions about the film, what were the characters all about, how do they feel. A little bit of history came about, little bit of music came about from the film. She asked all the right questions and encouraged me to go every day to watch the movies. But childhood was nervous. It was a nervous childhood, and I found solace and peace in the quiet of a dark theatre. And we would go every Friday night with the family, and then if the movie was very, very good, then the next day I would go on my own. And my mom kept encouraging me to watch these great films. I think that was part of my training. So grateful to her for encouraging me.
Sir, also apart from the many things that you did before you became an actor, one of the things that you did was also help your mom in a bakery, and I would like to think that that is a very formative experience for anybody. While working there, what are some of the lessons that you feel have kind of influenced the way you look at your career or your life?
At the wafer shop, it was a tiny little shop with a big frying pan room, a room that had a big, huge frying pan in it.
Right.
It was hot, and I saw my mother working there as a widow. Sweat used to roll down her neck, and her blouse always had sweat on it. She used to sit on the galla. For me, it just goes to show how life isn't easy. When I used to work at the shop, I used to fry chips also sometimes in the big bhatti. It's good to feel proud of what you do and not think it's uncool. It's very cool. My body used to smell of potatoes and ghee, because when the steam used to come up, it used to get into your skin, and no matter how many showers you took, that smell never left. And it's always, when I used to go out with Zenobia, I used to always say, check out my body smelling. I think it's not smelling, and even if it is, it's fine. And I wear it like a badge. So hard work is what I learned at the shop. I learned observational skills. I used to make notes about all the all the customers that used to walk
Really?
in. Yeah, he walks in like this. This is his. And it's not just about the quirks, it is about how you reveal character. So that training helped me a lot.
So apart from the bakery, you were also a long-time photographer, and then you
Yes.
did theatre, and then of course now you have acting and now a director, right? From all these things that you've dabbled into, when you kept switching these gears, of course at a time that you knew probably you were ready to shift the gear.
Right.
Did you ever find it daunting at any point, like, okay, now I have to shift, I have to do something new, or was it always a sense of excitement, which I think is what it is for you?
I find it daunting if I'm unprepared. And then I get really worried to say, no, don't throw this in my face and say you got to go and do it. No, I find that daunting. When
Right.
I'm prepared, and then I allow myself to spread my wings, then it's not daunting because then you're on fire. I find it exciting because you don't know what you are capable of doing. Once you're kind of prepared, then you let loose.
Yeah.
And that's exciting, and you're finding and you're discovering things about you that maybe you don't know yourself. I like cameras, not because I'm narcissistic, but I like the fact that we can talk about what we love.
What I also found interesting was when you asked me if I'd watched the movie, you didn't ask me if I liked it. You
I
said, did you
can't.
watch the movie? And you turned around and I said, I loved it. Because most people follow it up with that.
I can't. Because then you're putting the person in a spot. What is my intention? To find out, can we have this conversation with context
Yeah.
and reference? I don't even know if you're going to review the film, and I don't want to know because then I'm putting you in the spot. And that's really not fair.
So I'm just going to go back to the previous one. When I spoke about shifting gears, right? When you became an actor, you of course didn't know anybody in the industry, and it's all your talent, your hard work that's gotten you where you are. When you look back to those days, what are some of the things that kind of just, are highlighted in your memory? I think that
I was
the
in
time.
theatre at that point
Yes.
in time. And I was not thinking of joining movies at that
Okay.
point in time. There were two films that came in the early 80s. And one came just before I became an actor. That was Saransh,
Yes.
Mahesh Bhatt's. And one was Priyadarshan's film with my both dear friends, Paresh, which was the Hera Fairy. I said, you know what, it wouldn't be too bad to do movies because there are roles for characters like this. And Paresh was like doing something so amazing, and the entire theatre was laughing and enjoying those. And of course, Anupam was outstanding in Saransh.
Yeah.
So I said, maybe if I get something like that, I'll join the movies. But till then, I was doing some great fun stuff in theatre. I was sharpening my tools in theatre. I was sharpening my tools as a director, even when I was doing photography.
But whichever director I've spoken to about you and about actors, like you said, Paresh Rawal, right? When I speak about you guys, there's always this sense of they're just not insecure actors. They come so prepared, and they know what they're doing, they have fun with it, but they're just so natural.
And we love other actors. That's important.
Yes.
If you don't love the other actor, you're going to be miserable on the set. You've got to feed off the other person. What the other guy is doing can only enhance your own work. When I speak of these people and Nasir and all of them have been so encouraging, including Om Saab. They welcome me and you join the club. They literally stood there with open arms. I love these guys.
You being such a secured actor, but do you think that also comes from this sense of who you are as a person as opposed to just becoming an actor and having that shift of becoming insecure all of a sudden?
I say, why am I supposed to be insecure
Yeah.
when I reached a stage in my life where I always wanted to be? Now I am where I want to be, and I'm going to make myself miserable?
No.
Does it make sense? Yes, probably it's the kind of person I am.
Boman, when you look at the last 2 decades and you've been a part of the industry, of course, so much has evolved, not only just in the industry, in our industry, and everywhere across. What are some of the things that you wish hadn't changed?
As a kid, at the wafer shop, it was nestled in the theatre district. Our bhatti wall was the back wall of Novelty, the screen wall of Novelty. You stick your ear and listen to the dialogues. It was a very hot wall. Backside Apsara,
Yes, I know.
then Minerva, and on Friday evenings there would be premieres.
Yeah.
Maratha Mandir, Sholay ka premiere, Minerva mein. I miss that. It was a celebration. It was a celebration of the movies, and people would come and there would be the red carpet, so the star would get out of the car and then walk, when there would be kind of a walkway
Yes.
to the theatre and the public would be screaming and there would be searchlights and there would be the army band. I miss the celebration. They're called screenings now. I love premieres. See, there's a good and the bad. There's so much which is good for work. I mean, there's so much that, there's probably difficult to control a certain amount of quality. There's a percentage of cinema that works and there's a percentage of cinema, even if it's good, may or may not work.
True.
And there's a percentage of cinema that isn't good. But people are trying. Nobody goes out there saying that let's make a bad film.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's been streamlined to a point where it's become too streamlined. And streamlined in a good way now that schedule to schedule, film gets over. You don't have to do 15 films, go from one set to the other, and then can take 3 years to complete a film till you get somebody's dates.
Right.
That is a big thing. It's on the contract. It starts on this day, ends on this day, these days for promotion, these days for dubbing, these days, and your punny will come on this day. This will be first payment, second payment, third payment.
You're done.
Very streamlined.
Absolutely. But do you remember the last time you probably shot like 3-4 films at a time and it's taking long to complete?
Not very often. The only time I really shot two films over the time was Dawn and Honeymoon Travels because both my dates were with Excel.
Ah, okay.
So they said they would work for the weekend in Malaysia and put me under a flight, and I would come to Goa and do Honeymoon Travels. They would shoot for 5 days. They put me on a flight. Hear stories of Anupam Kher and Shakti Kapoor, and they used to do 3 shifts in a day.
Yeah.
I have no idea what energies that those people had. It's incredible.
But apart from that, so I think the other thing that a lot of actors, even the younger generation who's just coming out, find it very difficult.
What do you mean, even the younger generation? No, matlab kya hai?
Even
Matlab
22, 23-year-olds, or 25-year-olds.
Not the
that are coming
35,
out.
40-year-olds.
Not us.
Not us, okay.
Not us. Them. Them, not us. So, even they find it sort of slightly challenging to kind of keep up with this media scrutiny thanks to social media, right? What is your opinion on this entire thing of social media, paparazzi, being seen? You should be in sight if you want to be remembered kind of thought process.
Sometimes it's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Let's face it, let's be honest. I find that a little stressful, but youngsters do bring it onto themselves. However, you kind of shape your own persona in the public eye, and that's fine. Your Instagram page is your page where you're using yourself as your PR agent.
Yes.
Telling the people, this is what I do. Like me, love me, hate me, I don't mind. I don't mind the comments. Go for it, enjoy yourself, knock me down. This is the route I take. I'm going to sit in a rickshaw and people are going to... It works for people and sometimes it doesn't, like everything else in life.
Yeah.
You have to take the good with the bad.
So if we could come back to your films, do you remember that one film where you felt that it kind of changed the way the industry and the audience viewed you and
Khosla,
perceived you?
This is the way I see it.
Yes.
Maybe completely wrong. Munnaba MBBS was my first commercial film, which became really big. Everybody may have felt, or I imagined it, that people perceive me as this guy who is a South Bombay guy, who broke into English every now and then, and he, instead of, he may have been an FRCS, not an MBBS, you know what I mean? And so he wore suits and that's the way he is and that's his personality. And so he may not be able to do most of the other roles in films. And then Ghosla came around. I was supposed to be wrong, even I thought I was wrong for the part.
Why? When we watch it, we can't
No,
think
but
of
that's when you
anyone.
watch it, see. Give it a thought before we started shooting for it. Jaideep Sani, the writer, would call me every night. I was the photographer for the Miss India pageant that time. So I used to do pictures the whole day and I used to have dinner at 9. At 10 o'clock, Jaideep would call and say, let's talk about the movies. For 1 hour, he would talk to me about the movies and then say, do it, man. I said, why does he want me to do this movie? I'm wrong. I'm from no angle am I Punjabi from Delhi. I've never done anything outside of Bombay. I mean, a character that lived outside of Bombay. Well, that's the point. You've got to accept those challenges, right? And that's what acting is all about. So I went to Delhi and I agreed to do the film and I went for the look test and I stayed there for a few days. And I went to the markets and I started talking to people and recording people and getting that little devious laughter cut my hair like it's short and spiky. That time it could be spiky. Wore these ridiculous clothes, this flashy Swarovski wale button, and I went, and the whole cast was in one little room. There was no place for a van or nothing. There was one little room, and Anupam Kher is sleeping there. I said, Mr. Kher, kaun hai? Mr. Kher, and I'm standing backlight like kagas ke phool. Mr. Kher, kaun hai? हाँ बोलना कौन है? मैं Boman. कौन Boman? I said, मैं Boman Irani. He squinted and said, अरे Boman. And he smiled. He said, come out, I want to take you for a walk. And he took me out and he said, you know, I was not sure that you should be cast for this film. I'm being very honest with you. And I can't tell you how happy I am to see you the way you look. My God.
Yeah.
What happened to you? And I think that was the transformation that I can take up challenges and be fearless. So if you're prepared and you've sunk into it, why would it be daunting? Then it should be enjoyable.
Absolutely.
And then it became very, very enjoyable.
And then from there on, there was no stopping trying new characters.
We can try.
And succeed.
Our job is to try.
And succeeding.
Hopefully.
Let's add that.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you were talking about characters, and it's this film that kind of you think that people started to perceive you differently. If I had to ask you about one character that you've essayed through your career that you felt you related to the most.
Maybe Mehta Boys. And I'm a fun-loving guy. To be a little bit of a pain in the backside, you know what I'm saying. And he's painful, but not in his own eyes. You know, people say, oh, you're a cranky old man. For you.
Yeah.
He's not a cranky old man for himself.
Yeah.
He thinks he's doing the right thing for his family, for his kids. And maybe his methods may have been a little harsh.
Yeah.
Oh, like a man, he's telling that kid. That's exactly how he must have behaved with his son and maybe his daughter. That's why she says, widen your stance, if you remember Pooja coming and saying. So those words are there. You used a very nice line when I stepped in. There's nothing, what did you say, there's nothing?
There's nothing wasted in the film, not a dialogue, not a word.
That is thanks to the writing. He's grumpy and he's cranky, but only with the person who's treating him with a little bit of disdain.
Yeah.
He's superb with Zara.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look at, he's so happy to meet her.
We all know that this was kind of an idea that Sujoy gave you, and you said, okay, this is what I want to do. Right. What was it about that one line that resonated with you so strongly that you said, this is the film I'm going to direct someday?
Such a difficult question. It was about 15 years ago. And Sujoy comes and gives me this one-liner to father and son, not spoken in 10 years. And they're going to spend 48 hours together. And I love airport sequences. And so he said, this is what the situation is. He tells his father, Dad, you don't have to go. And I had a tear in my eye. And I said, I want to direct this. And he said, it's yours. And then the next challenge was, how do you fill it up with 2 hours, 48 hours spread over 2 hours? Because you can't bore people and say, this is such a nice, sweet moment. And, you know, no. The conflict should keep on turning over. And thematically, you've got to make it resonate. And cinematically, you've got to make it work to keep people's engagement. And that was the difficult part in the writing process. And that's why it took me so much time. People say it's not some magnum opus. Yeah, to me, it's a magnum opus.
To the quality shows.
The measure of words, the measure of the silences, it all has a place in the film, I believe.
It does. The film is about the complex relationship between a father and son, and even off camera we were talking that this relationship could be between anybody, right?
Yeah.
As a father yourself, have you always been cognizant of these dynamics, and if yes, did that kind of influence what you wrote, what you directed as well?
To a certain extent. Luckily for me, I got a great relationship with the boys. However, my relationship with the boys when they were they were 9 was different. They're 11, it's different. You start to keep pace with their growing pains. The moment the mustache starts coming out, right, the relationship changes.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, why is it not like when they were 7? Because maybe they want to be their own men, and I have not understood that. I have not understood they don't want me crowding them. They'll come to you when they want to come to you. And I don't understand. I say, yeah, okay, fine. And when their friends come along, Dad, okay, please, and Dad, just go to your room now. Why? Yeah? When your kiddie friends used to come along, we used to make them play games, and what the hell, man, now suddenly. Yeah. It's just that when they think that they are men, they should be allowed to be themselves because they are having pains, growing pains, as they say.
Yeah.
And I found that dynamic change, and I found that, oh, they don't need me anymore. Of course they need you. You're a fool if you believe that. They may not need you anymore the way they needed you when they were 5, 6, 7, and 8. That makes you feel different. And then you try harder to be part of. No, they'll come. And when we have run-ins, and everybody has it.
Yes,
when we have run-ins, luckily for us, the rule in the house is no going to bed with it. So we are fine, thankfully. That is a normal relationship where you realize that, Mommy, don't talk to me like that. Why don't talk to me like that? Because when he was 5, he never spoke to you like that. Yeah. So you feel, what happened? He doesn't need me anymore, what? And there's an insecurity that jumps in. Yeah. And then both one is trying to become a man and one is losing his manhood.
So my last question before we go, 2 decades in the industry, if there was something that you feel has somewhere switched in you in the last 20 years as a person from what you entered and as you sit here today, what could they be?
I think the fact that I learned how to write. I think that has switched something big time. When you write, what are you writing? You're writing stories, but you're writing about human beings in those stories. You understand human nature, and we always say the protagonist is the architect of his own misery. I think you start understanding yourself a little better, A, as a human being, and B, as a... And acting also teaches you that. I mean, let me tell you that. Acting teaches you about human beings and humanity. And then, of course, Spiral Bound, which actually makes me feel extremely fulfilled and extremely proud that there's a little bit of give back. I'm not trying to sound like a nice guy. But for me, that is a big switch. While teaching, I feel a great sense of achievement. I mean, Mr. Bachchan is such an inspiration, you know. Yes. Look at Shah Rukh and look at Mr. K. Look at all of them, all those who are relevant, and they are at it, and you can't slow down because it's a race. Yeah. You can't slow down because you can't afford to be bored.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
To never being bored and to always challenging yourself.
Well, I was bored today, frankly.
Sorry guys if you're also bored. But thank you so much for talking to me. So it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Swati.